Nothing is worse than someone a friend confided in you and they only told you something, but they find out that someone else knows it and they know good and well they didn't tell them. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? It's Jermaine from the Kingz Room, one half of the Kingz Room, aka That Christian Fam. Go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that comment button, subscribe, and if you really love this video, go ahead and share that. Y'all see me decked out in my Sooner gear. I'm supporting my Sooner State, Boomer, Sooner, all the way. This is Red River Shootout Week, y'all, so listen. I'm in this hoodie. It's still hot down here in Dallas, Texas. It's still like we still in the 80s and stuff like that. But listen, I'm supporting my squad. This is going to be a big week for us, and I'm hoping for a victory for my Sooners. All right, y'all. Today we're going to be talking about, are you a good friend? Because I believe there's a lot of people out there who, we really believe or we think that we're really good friends, but when we actually, drill down, we really find out, we're really not. As good of friends as as good of a friend as we thought we were. And if we are a good friend, there's always room for improvement. If you go back to the Garden of Eden, you'll find that sin was not the first problem with humanity. It was solitude, and solitude was the vehicle that led the way for sin to enter into humanity. All right, let's take Adam. If you look at Adam in Genesis 2:18, God said about Adam, I don't know what Adam was doing in the garden, but all I know is God looked upon him and said, look, it's not good for man to be alone. And for that reason, he created woman. All right. So we got God already saying that, listen, this whole solo thing, I know a lot of us want to be Lone Ranger Christians and solo Christians and do our own thing and be to ourselves. But God is already saying, look, y'all, it is not good that we be alone. Now let's go to Eve in Genesis 3:1. Where Satan actually enters onto the scene and he says to Eve, did God really say that you can't eat from every tree in the garden? And y'all like, okay, well, wait a minute. What does it have to do with solitude? The reason why is because Adam and Eve were separate. Had Adam actually been on his post and been with his wife, then I strongly believe that the enemy would not have been able to feed that seed of curiosity or feed that lie to Eve, and that way she would have never had an opportunity to present Adam with the forbidden fruit, because she would not have gone on and heeded to a lie. She would not have had her curiosity sparked, and Adam could have shooed the serpent away at that time. So right there we see another reason why it is not good for men to be alone, and why God actually encourages us to have friends. The thing that kind of led me to make this video is because I had a conversation with a woman at my job a couple weeks ago. I was just getting coffee like I normally do, and I actually see her at the same time when she's getting coffee. And when she sees me, she engages in conversation with me. And she told me a couple weeks ago, she just said, you know what, you're really easy to talk to. She said, I don't know what it is, but it's just something about you to where I just talk. Because what she shared with me is that she's not a talkative person. She doesn't like to talk at all. She doesn't talk to people at work or anything like that. And if she does, it's a very few people. But whenever she sees me at the coffee machine or whatever, she just feels like she can just go ahead and talk. And I don't know what it is about me that makes her feel like that, she can just talk, but I took it as a compliment. And that leads me to this. I want to kind of help some of us as to how we might be able to kind of gain some friends and how we don't close the door of friendship right off the bat. All right, here it is. When someone actually engages in conversation with you and starts talking to you about themselves or something that they did, you have to show genuine interest in what they are sharing with you. You don't need to be so quick to cut them off and interject and talk about what you did or talk about yourself. This is their moment. Let them have that conversation. Show genuine interest in what they're doing. And if you're not genuinely interested, then you're just not genuinely interested, and you can just keep it moving. But if it's something that's kind of interesting to you or whatever, let them have their moment and actually just make the conversation all about them. It's okay to let them have their moment. There's someone that I know that always finds a way to hijack the conversation and twist it and make it about themselves.
It is more about them than it is about the team.
Like, and they're so good at it, I don't even think they realize they do it, because they do it so well and they do it so often. It's just kind of like second nature to them, to the point to where no one wants to have a genuine conversation with them, because it always ends up being about that person and not the person who initiated the conversation.
Cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it.
And that leads me to something else. Don't one up your friends. Like, if your friend is telling you about something that they have or something that they did, don't one them up and be like, well, oh, if they're telling you about a camping trip, don't be like, well, yeah, we went on a camping trip here. Or if they're telling you about something that they were so excited that they actually bought and they're genuinely excited about it, don't one up them and say, well, the one that we bought has this, that, and the other. I mean, no, kill that. That's a quick way to not have a friendship. That's a quick way to discourage friendship. That's a quick way to stop a friendship before it even blossoms into a friendship. So note that down. That is a great way to start a conversation or to start a friendship, and not one-upping people is a great way to not end a friendship. So are you a good friend? I came up with 5 crucial questions to ask yourself, and you be able to gauge whether or not you're missing the mark, or you hitting these things, or whether or not you're a good friend, or are you a friend at all. Number 1, do you impart wisdom? Proverbs 13:20 says, whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. So, like, if you have some type of wisdom, do you try to impart that into your friends? And I'm talking about some things that are kind of proven, some things that you know have worked because you've actually implemented them into your life, or someone else has told you about them, has told you about something that seems to be wise. As long as it's not contrary to the word of God, share those things with your friend. Do you try to impart wisdom? Do you try to impart sound judgment into your friends? Do you do those things? Number 2, do you look out for your friend's best interest? And that leads me to the relationship or the good friendship between Jonathan and David. If you actually read the whole book of 1 Samuel, you'll hear about the genuine friendship between David and Jonathan was the son of Saul, who was the king of Israel at that time, and Saul was very jealous of David, so much so that he actually wanted to kill David. David actually served as the armor bearer in Saul's kingdom, in Saul's castle at certain times, but Saul became so jealous that he wanted to kill David. So David was always on the run from Saul. And what Jonathan would do, because of their friendship, Jonathan would alert David to certain dangers. Jonathan would give him a heads up to say, hey, listen, Saul's going to be coming this way. Saul's going to be doing this, that, and the other. He would actually privy David to certain conversations that would take place in Saul's house, to give David a heads up, to let him have a leg up on Saul to where he would be out of harm's way. I mean, Jonathan was a very genuine friend to David. And so my question is, do we really look out for our friends' best interest? Like, if you see your friend in harm's way, do you just let them continue to go on their own way? Or do you try to warn them, or you try to put them in the best position possible? So that's the second thing. Do you look out for your friend's best interest? Number 3, are you loyal? Like, when people say things about your friend that you know are not true, do you look out for your friend? And I'm not talking about getting to an altercation with someone and like getting to a fist fight or anything, but do you do your best to dispel those things? Do you do your best to discourage that person from saying those things, spreading those things? Are you quick to bring trouble to your friend? Like, if you know something is not true, or you know someone said something bad about your friend, do you bring those things to your friend, like knowing that it's probably not going to do your friend any good for them to know those things, and for you to kind of, it's kind of a slippery slope, because if you bring something to them and you know it's not true, you're running a huge risk of hurting your friend's feelings, and all of that could be unnecessarily because, again, there's no truth to what they said. And even if there is some truth to what they said, I believe that if it's something that is very detrimental, that God will allow that to eventually come to light. But don't be the one to bring trouble to your friend, because those things can have a very negative outlook or very outcome with your friends, oftentimes, more often than not. Number 4, are you confidential? Like, do you have, one of the blessings that I find in my life, I find that I have a few people that I can actually go to, my wife being one of them, that if I share something with them, I know it's not leaving that room, and the only way it's leaving that room is if I bring it up to someone else outside of that room. Nothing is worse than someone confiding, a friend confided in you, and they only told you something, but they find out that someone else knows it, and they know good and well they didn't tell them.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Now, if it's something that they told you that involves them harming someone or them harming themselves, that's a little different. I would really say to pray for guidance and direction in those situations. But for the most part, y'all, make sure you keep things confidential. Like, even if you can't fix the problem, sometimes friends just need a sounding board. Like, they really just need you to be a sounding board for a minute. And if it's, but now, like, notice I say it for a minute, because here's the thing. If it's a constant thing where they're always pouring out to you, always unloading on you, and you're constantly being that sounding board, then you might need to, temper that or cut that off a little bit. But like, hey, yo, listen, because, at that point, they're running a huge risk of creating an idol of you. You're actually being an idol for them, because they're going to you about everything instead of going to God and pray about those things, which I actually mentioned in the previous video. But the last thing you want to be is someone's crutch. And lastly, number 5, do you support their efforts? Like, are you dependable? Like, if they say that they need you to show up for something, do you show up? If they say they need help studying and they really need your help, do you help them study? Whatever it is, like, if they say that they're trying to get in shape, are you that friend that constantly eats cheeseburgers around them? And you're like, you know what? I don't care. That's their problem. Or do you honestly try to curb your appetite and try to improve your lifestyle a little bit regarding your diet? Do you try to do those things, or you just fly in the face of whatever effort that your friend is trying to make to lose weight or get in shape or whatever, and say, well, that's them? Like, do you really support them? Are you dependable? Can they rely on you to be there when they need you? Now, listen, depending on where you are in life, if you got a wife, you got a husband, and you got kids, there's only so much you can actually be there for a friend. Like, you can be there, but not so much like you would if you were like single with no responsibilities other than, a job, of course, or whatever. But, y'all know what I'm saying. Anything within reason, but ultimately try to be a dependable friend. Try to support their efforts, and that will take you long in this journey of friendship. All right, y'all, I hope something was said that would help you on your journey with friendship, and honestly make you reflect upon yourself as to whether or not you are a good friend. And myself included. Like, there's some spots on there where I'm like, you know what, maybe I could do a little bit better in this area, the other area, this, that, and the other, whatever. I'm not perfect. No one is, but we should always strive for perfection, because our Christ, our risen Savior, is perfect. So again, y'all, this is Jermaine from the King's Rim, one half of the King's Rim, aka that Christian fam, where we shape our worldview around God's reality. I'm out. Horns down, boomer sooner.
Look, I'm still a don whether they like me or not. My bars is hot. I come from a block that's hot where we tote them Glocks. If I op slide through and you shot, been through a lot and still going through it.